Hello, and thank you for joining us today for this Edward Jones webinar, Women Take Charge of Your Financial Future. My name is Sandy Miller. Before we get going, let me highlight a few of the features on your screen that we're going to be using. On your screen right now, you should already see a video window with me inside. There should be another window with our presentation slides and a third window for our Q&A feature. If for some reason you have any difficulty during the program, you can click on the help icon at the bottom of your screen. That's the black question mark inside the yellow circle. This is for any technical questions you may have. We also have a team on standby ready to assist you if at any time during our discussion you have a question or would like clarification on a point. Just click on the Q&A icon, which is the third button from the left at the bottom of your screen. That will allow you to send in your questions. We will do our best to answer your questions in the allotted time we're given. If your question is not answered, please follow up with your Edward Jones financial advisor. If you don't have an Edward Jones financial advisor, please click on the Find an FA widget below. We also have a lot of helpful resources and information available for you inside the resources icon, which is located next to the Q&A icon. All right. Now that you know your way around, let's get started. With a pay gap, higher caregiver expectations and responsibilities, and longer life expectancies, women have unique needs when it comes to managing their finances. Today, we'll discuss the benefits of women being involved in financial decision making, how an emergency fund can be empowering, bridging the retirement gap, and how to make the most of a longer life expectancy. Today, we're joined by Edward Jones Senior Strategist in Client Needs Research, Megan Dow, and Edward Jones Financial Advisor, Kathy Stevens. Thank you both for joining me. All right, let me start by asking about why there's a need to have a conversation geared toward women. Are there really meaningful differences that women face when it comes to money?
Yeah, that's a great question to start with. I don't want to ignore that there are a lot of commonalities between women and everyone else when it comes to managing money and financial goals. Most people, regardless of gender, want to have financial security, provide for their families, be able to eventually retire comfortably. But there are unique experiences about being a woman that can influence our finances. And I don't feel that the financial industry has always been really in tune with addressing those in a consistent and holistic way. So these overall trends may not apply to any one individual, but taken as a whole, women do face a number of challenges in securing their financial futures. First, we face a pay gap. Women make around 82 cents for every dollar men earn. There's been some promising movement for younger women earlier in their career, but it still hasn't reached parity, and the gap actually grows with age and higher career levels. Second, there are many reasons that gap may exist, but one factor that almost certainly contributes is that women are disproportionately responsible for unpaid labor, whether that's taking care of the household, kids, adult family members, and that impact can look very direct. It can look like a woman leaving the workforce or cutting back her hours to provide care. This can happen with young children. We also see it in the later parts of women's career when a spouse or a parent falls ill. The impact can also look more indirect. Women disproportionately shoulder household tasks and caregiving responsibilities, even when maintaining full-time work, and that can have career repercussions. In a 2019 Pew survey, around 1 in 5 mothers said that they had been passed over for an important assignment or a promotion at work. And lastly, while this isn't necessarily a bad thing, we tend to live longer than men, on average about 5 years. Because women tend to earn less than men over their working years, our ability to prepare for retirement is really hit on two fronts. It's harder to save. Those lower earnings translate to lower Social Security benefits. And then because we tend to live longer, we effectively need to save more in order for our money to last us through retirement. I don't want to only focus on the challenges. We also have some advantages in our corner. There have been multiple studies that show women tend to out-return men when it comes to investing. Why? We seem to be better at buying and holding rather than excessively trading and are less prone to overconfidence. So it's sort of counterintuitive, but the very fact that we tend to feel less confident when it comes to investing means we actually see more success. Taking those challenges and advantages together, what this means is that while much of managing money is the same regardless of gender, there are some distinct differences that we can take into account when planning for our financial futures.
How does this show up when you work with clients? Do you hear any unique concerns from women?
One of the main challenges women face is the ability to balance their career and family life. The pressures we create on ourselves, we can and need to do it all.
We can see there are definitely some differences women face. Let's talk about how to account for them. Megan, I know emergency funds are a passion of yours. So can you talk about why you think they're so important?
First, a level set. An emergency fund is money set aside specifically to cover something unexpected that occurs. A job loss, needing to take unpaid leave, your car breaking down, a trip to the emergency room or urgent care, those types of things. We generally recommend having 3 to 6 months of total expenses saved up in an emergency fund. And if that sounds like a lot, even a few $100s can have a significant impact on someone's financial stability. That said, I think women may favor skewing toward the higher end of that 3 to 6 month range. It can be really empowering to have a fully funded emergency fund because when you have the confidence that you can cover your expenses, you can truly live your life more on your own terms. What I mean by that is that if you find yourself in a toxic workplace, a toxic relationship, your ability to leave and put yourself in a healthier position is much higher when you have access to funds that enable you to cover your expenses. And unfortunately, those situations are more likely to happen to women. 2017 Pew study found twice as many women as men reported discrimination on the job because of their genders, 42% versus 22%. But even if you're not in an unhealthy environment, an emergency fund better enables you to do lots of things you may want or need to do. Could mean taking unpaid leave to care for family or yourself, making a career change, taking a break for your own well-being. Having money saved up can change this from being a financial difficulty or even a disaster to giving you the flexibility to make these changes without significantly compromising your quality of life.
I can see why emergency funds can add some great financial security for women. What about retirement? What should women be thinking of when it comes to retirement?
There are different stages of retirement: saving for it during our working years, transitioning to retirement, and then living in retirement. I'll start with saving for retirement, which is something I help my clients with every day. The earlier you start saving for retirement, the more time your money has to grow. So there's no time like the present to start or increase your savings. And if your employer offers a match for retirement contributions, I would make getting that match a high priority because it's effectively free money. If you don't qualify for an employer plan like a 401k, explore saving in an IRA. If you're married and one partner isn't employed, the working spouse may still be eligible to contribute to what's commonly referred to as a spousal IRA. It's in the name of a non-employed spouse if certain criteria are met.
I really like the call out to spousal IRAs. For women who have partners, I think it's important to ensure you have savings in your own name, whether that's something like a spousal IRA or your own contributions to your employer plan or an IRA. Tax advantage retirement accounts can only be in the name of one individual. They can't be joint accounts, and they come with contribution limits. So by taking advantage of savings accounts for both partners, you're really maximizing your family's savings potential. Additionally, earlier, Kathy mentioned that part of good planning includes preparing for the unexpected, such as a divorce. Divorce settlements can and often do include splitting retirement accounts, but it's more secure to have retirement assets in your own name. I also want to highlight, if you are not legally married but sharing finances with someone, having retirement assets in your own name is even more important because you don't have the legal protections of marriage. I encourage women in these relationships to intentionally balance where exactly they're saving their money. If your relationship stays on steady footing, it's not a significant cost to give both partners retirement assets in their names. But if for any reason the relationship falters, it can help put you in a better position to weather that storm. Now, outside of savings, a major source of income for many Americans in retirement is Social Security, which I think really gets us into that second stage of retirement, transitioning to it. One of the big decision points is around Social Security benefits and the decision on when to claim it. One thing I think may surprise many people is that your Social Security benefit is generally calculated using the earnings from your 35 highest paid years. So if you took a break from the workforce for caregiving, you have $0 or very low earning years in that calculation, it can really reduce your benefit. And the more years that were affected, the larger the impact. So if you have the stamina and flexibility, adding a few years at the end of your career, which are often high-paying years, can really improve the Social Security benefit you're eligible for.
Kathy, what are the ways you help your clients with Social Security decisions?
Helping people understand the impacts of when they claim Social Security is a key way I help my clients make the transition to retirement. Generally speaking, the earlier you claim, the lower your benefit. So for someone in very poor health, it may make sense to claim earlier to get some benefit. Women already have a longer life expectancy though, so especially for a woman in good health, delaying claiming can mean collecting more in benefits. Other considerations for when to claim include whether you're still working. Working can reduce your benefits until after you reach your full retirement age. How much you need that source of income to meet your spending needs. The less you need the money, the more flexibility you have to claim later. And spousal considerations. When it comes to spousal considerations, a financial advisor can help you understand the implications of claiming for both partners, which means considering both spousal and survivor benefits. Because Social Security is a lifetime benefit with a yearly cost of living adjustment, it helps protect against both inflation, which has been more of a concern recently, as well as the longer life expectancy women have. Maximizing it can help with your financial security in retirement.
Speaking of financial security and retirement, what about that third stage of actually living in it? What should we be thinking about differently in that stage?
With the longer life expectancy, we want to make sure you don't run out of money. Maximizing Social Security is certainly part of it, but so is making sure you're using your saved retirement funds in a sustainable way.
That's where I can help by looking at how much money you're spending and withdrawing from your retirement accounts. We look at different scenarios to see how it plays out and try to minimize the likelihood you'll run out of money.
That longer life expectancy also means we're likely to outlive our partners. Women are more likely than men to be single, divorced, and widowed in retirement. So if something happens to our health, or we simply need more support as we age, we often have to make the very difficult transition from caregiver to care recipient. Medicare doesn't generally cover long-term care costs, and women are at higher risk of needing long-term care. So I'd encourage you thinking early on what this might mean for you to ensure you have the care you want. Ask yourself questions like, do you have friends or family nearby that can help, or would you prefer paid care? If you plan on relying on informal caregiving from friends and family, do they know that? Have you had the conversation outlining your expectations to make sure they're on board as well? Do you have your legal documents in place outlining your healthcare wishes and who can step in and make decisions for you if need be? And lastly, if you might need paid care, do you have a sense for how much it might cost and what you might do to cover that cost? Financial advisor can really help with that one. I know these aren't pleasant thoughts or conversations to have, but having a plan in place long before a medical crisis requires immediate decisions to be made can really make things much easier.
Is there anything else women should be thinking of?
The fact that you're on this call is probably a good sign that you're already involved or at least interested in engaging in financial decisions for yourself and your family. But we know that overall women are less confident in their financial acumen when it comes to investing in retirement. And in many relationships, women defer to their partners on money management. This isn't helped by the fact that professionals don't always treat us as seriously as they do men. I say this based on personal experience. I've got 2 finance degrees, a financial analyst designation, a financial planning designation, 15 years of experience in the financial services industry. I make all the appointments for financial, legal, and tax advice for my family. I do most of the talking, but I can't tell you how many times those professionals will start speaking almost exclusively to my husband, who gets pretty much just as annoyed as I am that they're asking him all the questions. And sometimes it's just an honest mistake that's quickly addressed, but sometimes we've got to find somebody else to work with. So my first suggestion would be to start working with people you click with and trust. Money is a touchy topic, and the more trust you feel with your advisors, the more you can share, and the better they can help you achieve your goals.
I hope to be that trusted advisor that can help. When I'm working with couples, I want to make sure both partners are as engaged as they want to be. This means that both partners have enough financial acumen to understand the decisions they're making, and enough space in the conversation to voice their viewpoint and hopefully come to a consensus. And sometimes one partner just doesn't want to be as engaged. Maybe that's a woman. But if you have a relationship like Megan, It can just as easily be a man. One benefit of an advisor is that my couples know that if something were to happen to the primary financial decision maker, the other partner would have me as a resource to help them navigate that very difficult transition. But generally, that's why I strongly encourage both partners to be as involved as possible in making decisions. You never know when something might happen to your partner, whether that's illness, death, or divorce. And being as financially aware as possible can mean one less problem to overcome at an otherwise difficult time.
Any final thoughts?
I know we covered a lot of ground, and sometimes that in and of itself can be intimidating. So I just want to take a moment for each of us to reflect and think which one single thing we talked about would make you feel more confident and secure. You don't have to address every aspect of your financial life at once. Whether you want to start with the emergency fund, your retirement, a plan for your caregiving needs, being more financially involved, choose whatever it is that would make the biggest difference for you. And then once you've narrowed that down, write down the first step you're going to take to start making progress, and then pick a time and day to take that first step. Take a second right here for everybody to commit to that. And if you're not sure what that might be, what step you should take, I'm going to suggest making the first step a conversation with your financial advisor who can really play that role of guiding you to make progress.
I encourage you to take charge of your finances. I recommend reaching out to a financial advisor who can sit down with you and build your financial goals together. We're here to help.
Thank you both so much for your time today and for sharing your knowledge and insight. As I mentioned earlier, we have several resources that we hope will help you during this time. Be sure to check them out by going to the resource icon on your screen. We're now going to start the Q&A portion of the program. We have a team of subject matter experts waiting online to answer your questions through the Q&A widget. Please remember that there will not be any video during this portion. You will only see a slide prompting you that the Q&A is now in session. Rest assured, the webinar is still live. We will do our best to answer your questions during the allotted time. If your question is not answered, please follow up with your Edward Jones financial advisor. If you do not have an Edward Jones financial advisor, please click on the Find an FA widget below. I also want to remind you that this broadcast will be available again on demand using the same link you used to register for today's program. Please note our upcoming webinar as well. Thanks again for joining us, and please enjoy the rest of your day.